Hello and welcome to this short video that I've simply called Mormon History and Theology. And I'm really just here today to answer a question that I'm being asked a lot lately, which is, if you are an active Mormon, although sometimes my attendance at church is sometimes occasional and haphazard, how can you produce such videos that do not reflect church history in a totally positive light? Well, first of all, I'm interested in church history, as it really is. I'm not interested in producing a false history just so all Mormons can feel nice, warm and fuzzy. Secondly, I believe that honesty is the best policy, No harm will come of it if we're being honest. God is displeased by dishonesty, not by our honesty, even if our honesty is sometimes wrong, which I don't believe that I am wrong. But I think that he wants us to be honest with ourselves and be honest with others as to what we really think. Thirdly, if I am wrong, show me how I'm wrong. I'm open to things that are true. I've got an open mind. If you show me the evidence that I'm wrong, go for it. And fourthly, and perhaps the most important point I want to make, is that our history and our theology are inextricably linked. If our history is fuzzy, then our theology and our doctrine is also going to be fuzzy. When we get our history right, then our theology will be clear. For example, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Either it happened in history, in real time and space, or it did not. If it did happen, then that has a real impact on our history and our theology and our doctrine. If it didn't happen, then equally that impacts on our theology in a very different way, very radical way, turns everything upside down. But at least if we get our history right, we can get our theology right. And this is my point. Can you see why getting our history right is really quite vital to forming our theology? And there are a lot of things in Mormon history that are in doubt. There's no getting away from it, and we have to confront these things. The first vision. Either it happened in history or it didn't. Either way, it impacts on our theology, just like the resurrection. The restoration of the priesthood in 1829 by Peter, James and John. Either it happened or it didn't. We can go on and on and on. The transmogrification of Brigham Young into Joseph Smith, in the leadership crisis, is very much in doubt, very much in doubt. And yet that story was told over and over again in church meetings for many, many years. And we've got to straighten these things out and get them sorted. And I think we've all got to get away from this idea that we reflect the church always positively, no matter what. I think we've got to get away from that idea. It's bad business. It's a bad way to do business. And I think we are moving away from that. I think we're thinking differently, thinking more clearly these days. So it's important, for me at least, to explore our history, because history is important to me, and doctrine, theology and faith is also important to me, and I know that history and theology are linked, undeniably linked, and I want to explore those things openly. Only by straightening out our history can we form our beliefs. There's no other way. Asking the right questions in the right way is also important. For example, think about science, and I know that the scientific approach and the faith approach are two different things. Science might begin with a hypothesis. Let's say that the hypothesis is that gravity pulls everything towards the centre of the earth. Now, the approach that a scientist might take would be to collect the data around that hypothesis, and that data, those facts, will either support or refute the hypothesis. If the hypothesis is not supported by the facts, then the hypothesis is thrown out, because the facts are the facts and are undeniable. Now let's look at religion. Religion, on the other hand, does it the other way around. They have the hypothesis, such as the Bible is the inerrant word of God, or the Book of Mormon is the most correct book. Then the religionist might start looking at the facts. And when the facts don't support the hypothesis, they throw out the facts. Or at least they hold on to erroneous ideas that appear to support their hypothesis. But the hypothesis is what they keep, even if it's in error. And they just look for those things that support the hypothesis rather than sticking to the facts. This is a very backward way of thinking, and I want to steer well clear of that kind of thing. So this is why I make these videos that look at church history, because I want to get theology, my beliefs, right. I do not want my testimony of God to be a delicate mass of bubbles that I hover over, afraid that someone is going to come along and burst my bubble. I want my testimony to be like a jackhammer, strong and robust, able to withstand any scrutiny, able to stand up to honest and open inquiry and criticism. I certainly hope that you understand where I'm coming from. I want to be honest, open and faithful. That's it for now. Bye bye.